Okay, so
No
I
music
guess
this time.
no music this time. We just gonna start it off.
Make sure you tell them what they're listening to.
All right. Well, I guess if you're listening now, I just want to let you guys know you're listening to the Just 10 podcast. Just 10 podcast is a podcast that, we created where we talk about books, but we also talk about life. I have just learned throughout my life that there are a lot of things that men go through that they kind of want to talk about, but sometimes don't have the opportunity to talk about it, or they want to talk about it from kind of a distance. And I just think that,
Or they don't have the language to talk about it.
And I just think that, talking about it through a book where you're being introduced to new ideas and also some solutions can just help us to kind of open up and just share what's going on in our minds. So with that being said, my name is Zikomo and
I'm Wallace, baby.
and this is Just 10 podcast. Welcome to the show.
Welcome.
All right. So I guess we can just start off briefly by saying, just how you doing, man, and what you've been up to. It's been, almost a month and a half.
About 6 weeks, yeah.
It's been 6 weeks.
I
He's
miss
been
you, man.
counting the weeks. I know, right? I miss you too. And, here we are. We finally having a podcast. So, but how you been?
I've been good, bro. And I was actually texting somebody yesterday. They asked me how I was doing. I was like, I try to be so positive.
Yeah.
I don't even realize when I'm actually going through some mess sometimes. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just always like trying to find the value in what I'm going through anyway.
Yeah.
So it could be a terrible time. And honestly, this week at work felt like 5 Mondays. I mean, it hit at 7:30 Monday morning until 4:30 Friday afternoon. I felt like it was either something was going wrong or somebody needed to make a play.
Yeah.
And it was just constant. And it's kind of, I guess, the nature of the beast in my industry. Toward the end of the summer, we work in schools. The end of the summer, you got to get everything done. So when it comes to permitting, completions, commissioning, even just getting the work done, it's a push at the end. And we got a couple weeks left in summer. And it just hit me like all of this is pretty much going through you. You're the conduit for all of it right now, which is a great space to learn in my mind. It's like I see how organized I can be or I'm not. Yeah. I see areas that I need to grow in, like finance and understanding and manipulating and making things work on the financially, and I need to work on that.
Yeah.
I see like I'm pretty proficient in scheduling and making sure people understand what needs to be done when it needs to be done, and the flow. It's definitely a space to grow from, but like all of the pressure that I felt like I received this week, it illuminated some of the things that I'm good at or I'm not so good at, which is, to me, great.
Yeah.
So I think my perspective helps me not get bogged down in the actual weight of things that are happening.
Yeah.
And helps me continue to just move forward. So yeah, I'm good. There's been a lot going on, but I'm good, bro.
I'm glad that you shared that, because I think that it's important to be able to say, I'm not feeling so well, or not, I'm not feeling so well, but I'm experiencing this. There's some difficulties. I'm having some challenges. The days are feeling slow.
Yeah.
I think that's important to talk about, because I don't know, we all are kind of feeling that. I think that's kind of what's missing in my social spaces sometimes.
Yeah.
Everybody's so good, happy this, happy that.
Yeah.
And it's like, is anybody experiencing
Going through
any type of struggle or troubles or anything like that? So that's why I try to be authentic about what I'm feeling. Now, I may not identify and say, hey, this is who I am, but I'll say, I'm kind of experiencing these type of feelings, or this is kind of what's going on.
Yeah.
And I think that's the perfect segue for me.
How are you doing, sir?
Oh, thanks. I'm not going to say I am this, but I'll say over the past 6 weeks, I have been kind of like not been up to it. I haven't been feeling, energetic. So for the past, since the beginning of the year, I've read 12 books.
Really? 6 months, 12 books.
Yeah, I've read 12 books.
10 pages a day, right?
More than 10 pages a day.
Yeah.
And last month, I couldn't read the book.
Yeah.
I couldn't read the book. For whatever reason.
Which book?
This book that we're talking about today.
That we about to talk
Think
about.
again. Think again. I couldn't read by Adam Grant.
Yeah.
I went through like the first couple of chapters, and my mind is kind of yearning for some different answers. Like I'm looking for some answers. I guess I'm just in a point of my life where I'm needing something, but I don't really know what it is.
Yeah. I know
And-
that feeling 100%, bro.
Yeah, I'm needing something, but I don't know what it is. And I've kind of just been experiencing a lot of ups and downs. Like, it's been troubles kind of going on at my job. I, got a new manager. She's a very nice lady.
Yeah.
But it's like she doesn't have more experience than me. So,
Yeah.
that's kind of going on. And, so I feeling like I need to kind of exit, and then trying to find a job in a time where it's so many jobs.
Right.
It's kind of been, some ups and downs there, business related things. I've just been running into a lot of obstacles.
Yeah.
And then even, friends that I've had kind of been, they've been kind of exiting, there's been some challenges there. So I just think that it's a time for me to kind of do some self-reflection. And a cousin of mine, she went to A&T Kelly.
Yeah.
She moved back to Atlanta. I don't know if you knew she moved. She
Nah,
was in
I
Chicago.
didn't.
But she's in Atlanta now, and she had mentioned to me, she was like, hey, I'm getting ready to start the Daniel fast on July the 30th. And she wasn't asking for me to invite me.
join.
She just said it.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, that sounds like something that I want to partake in. Because
Yeah.
I think right now I need to kind of go inward and do some self-reflection and some detoxing. So
When you heard that Daniel Fast that she was gonna do it, did it give you the feeling that you wanted to do it?
yeah, because one, she was like, hey, I'm gonna have, my aunt and some other friends and family that
Yeah.
they were all gonna do it together. And I was like, wow. And she was like, yeah, it's kind of like a fruits and vegetable. You're going on a fruits and vegetable diet for the next 30 days, and you're just detoxing. And I was like, I've kind of been thinking about that. My diet hasn't been the best recently. I've kind of just been consuming a lot of just junk.
Yeah.
And I just kind of want to cleanse myself.
So I asked that question because I heard this phrase, and it's really what ignited me to even start thinking past, because I had a football career, and at some point when it's done, you kind of have an identity crisis, like who am I?
Mm-hmm.
But I heard this concept that really ignited me down a path of even to get to this point where I am going through different books and trying to understand, and it was move at the speed of instruction. And it's not like, if you just hear it off face value, it's like somebody tell you to do something, do it. It's not that. It's when you hear something, or somebody might tell you something to do something, and it connects with you, and you don't even know why. Like you said, you were looking for something, you don't know what you're looking for, and something hits you like that, move with it. Like people talk about, they had the instinct to get a stock in 1990 something, but they didn't do it. Move at the speed of instruction, and the thing is, when you do that, that means you've got something behind it, and then you're willing to go through the journey to gain whatever really is in there for you. Because it might not be to be a millionaire with the stocks, but it is the knowledge that you're gonna get from getting into the stock market. Mm-hmm. It's gonna be the wholeness or the wellness or just the discipline in your mind to change your diet at the snap of a finger, at the decision that you make. Me, it was like, you need to learn more, you need to read more, you need to gain more perspective, because all you do is see in this one lane. So when I first heard it, it was like the first thing I heard was TED Talks, and I jumped into listening to TED Talk after TED Talk after TED Talk, and it was just really just showing me like people go through things, people perceive things differently, and I'm like, this is dope.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in the locker room for 10 years now, and I'm like, it's a whole nother world out here. But just that concept just continues in my head. Like when I feel something, honestly, when I brought this to you, it was a feeling. Mm-hmm. Like I had been doing a podcast about books for about a year, and I was like, it's not hitting the way that I initially envisioned. But then you start talking about your book club, and I was like, this is one of my first real friends. and he's got pretty much the same intent. I think this is it. And it just hit me. So I brought it to you.
Mm-hmm.
And look, here we are. But that's just something that I felt like I heard when you said, she said the Daniel fast. And your response, you don't have, most people be like, oh, that's cool, enjoy it.
Yeah.
But your mind was like, well, what if I did?
Yeah.
And then you never know what you're gonna find out when you go down it.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. She told me about it, and I was like, man, I have been thinking about doing something like that. And now it's a group of people who we're all kind of doing it at the same time. You know, maybe that could be my route. And yeah, man, that's something that I'm looking forward to doing. So it starts July the 30th, and like I said, I'm looking forward to doing it, man.
Hey, look, you said it. I didn't feel the urge to get in.
Yeah, that's cool. I wasn't trying to recruit you. But I'm just in a space where I'm trying to just, let go of some things because I want another view.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's that's where the growth begins. As you said, you were listening to TED Talks, you need to read books because you wanted to broaden your perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think that's where I am right now. I'm trying to broaden my perspective, but it's kind of like, how do you do it? I think some people, they get that urge to, I think that's why people travel sometimes. It's like, I just need to see something different,
Yeah.
see people living in a different culture or just with some different views so that I can change something up because things are feeling stale. And your perspective, I believe, controls your energy state.
Yeah.
Like I believe that energy states of like anger and joy, those are kind of laws and principles, which comes from your understanding of how you look at the world. Even when it comes to like compassion, and having gratitude. Like I know a lot of people, they recite affirmations because they're trying to tap into a certain principle or whatnot, but that understanding, which comes from the knowledge and the perceptions that you have, is what helps you to tap into and really understand what you're saying. Before it's just information, you're just kind of reading it, hoping that that power of that phrase will tap in or, will give you what you're looking for. But it's that broadening that perspective. And I think that comes from life and some self-reflection.
Yeah.
So that's where I am right now.
I hear that. I honestly just heard like perspective, and I got this picture in my mind of like a glass prism, and I can sit here and look square at this glass prism all day long. Same words that I say in my mantra every day. But as soon as I change where I'm sitting or change the angle of where I'm at, I'm gonna see the light refract a little differently.
Yeah.
And that's gonna give me a little bit more illumination to the world that I live in.
Wow. Did you just make that up? Or
I just thought about
that. That's
dope. I was just sitting here like, I see it.
Yeah. That is, and we all kind of need to move and sit in different positions so that we can, get the light at a different angle. I that is very true. That is true. That's a gem, man. That's a gem. I like that.
That's wild. But yeah, honestly, I think this is the segue into the book, honestly. But the two questions I want to ask you always is, why did you pick the book? And then two, why weren't you able to finish it? Was it actually the content or just the space that you're in?
Okay, so first, the first question is, why did I pick the book? So I picked the book because this is a part of our book club. And one of the guys who joined the book club, this was the book that he recommended. It was on our list.
Yeah.
So he was like, hey, man, this is a great book. He started reading some of it, and he put it on our list for the year as one of the books. So, I was like, okay, let's read it. Yeah. And I asked him, I said, hey, is this really a good book? Because you're not really feeling too confident. And he was like, man, yeah, man, I like it. And then he started talking about the graphic because it's like a picture of like a match. And it looks like a water droplet on top of the match. I don't know if you looked at the cover, but it looks like a water droplet on top of the match. So it's really intriguing. It's like typically, of course, fire is supposed to be there, but there's a water. And then it's the title is Think Again. Yeah. So I was like, okay, yeah. So when I open up the book, and I just started reading, it just became a chore.
Yeah.
And maybe I didn't give it enough of a chance, but it just became a chore. And I just was like, man, I can't get through this because I just, this isn't what I really want to know right now. Or this is just, it's just not answering questions that I have right now. And some of the questions that I think that I'm interested in are more on, I guess, spiritual principles. I'm more concerned about like family. That's a big thing. Like I one of the things I'm really interested in is where did the divide amongst the black family, when did that start? Because it's impacting us today.
Yeah.
And I just kind of want to be able to track and see, what happened and what was it before then? How were families before and how did we get here? So those are questions that I've really been wanting some type of answer for. So, it just
This
didn't
book
hit me.
didn't.
And I'm not saying that later on when I could pick this book up, it could be everything that I'm looking for. But right now, just after I kind of went through the first 2 chapters, it was just like, it felt like a chore and it just wasn't answering the questions that I was kind of feeling in my heart at that time.
I respect that. I do. Me going through it, I don't think the author wrote this book for me, for somebody like me. But his information, I feel like we all need. So it's just like the way it was delivered wasn't. I wasn't a thought of it. I wasn't. My culture wasn't. I don't think it was intended for. But once I was able to get past that and say, hey, I'm here for a purpose and let me see what I can get out of it. It's like going to a seminar for something that it's not meant for you. They talking to a whole different crowd, but what can I get out of this while I'm here, out of this time? And I feel like I was able to grasp something that's, I feel like would help micro relationships, but also macro relationships. Because it's honestly, all he's talking about is being open to different perspective and being open to having your views challenged, but also molded, which is just gaining more perspective and growing and having awareness. One big word that comes in this book to me is humility, because we tie our feelings and emotions a lot of times to our beliefs, and in doing so, it makes it hard sometimes to hear somebody else or to try to see from somebody else, because I'm so adamant about the space that the mindset that I have. And I think about stuff that I would probably stand on the table about 10 years ago. I'm on the completely other side of the table now because my perspective changed. My understanding changed. But what he's trying to get us to do is be able to do that and not take 10 years and be like, hey, I hear you. I may not agree, but I hear you. And I'm open to hearing your experience. And I feel like in my relationship, that's going to help me, because it's so easy to, especially when it's your significant other, your emotions are already tied up in everything that's going on. But to be able to take my emotions out of it and just stay lead with love, but be able to want to, he's like, you got to get to a point where you're okay with being wrong. And sometimes want to be wrong, because then that gets to you to either reaffirming what you believe or expanding your horizon. So to me, this book, it just it gave the idea that it's okay to be wrong. 2, we need to be constantly looking to learn and grow, because when you really look at it, we're all so tiny in this world. Our minds are really so tiny in this world. It's a city, a village, a country 100,000 miles away from here right now that looks and views the world completely different than I view it, but they've managed to survive this million years that we've been on this planet or less, and flourish and continue to develop their families. But we think completely different. But it's something that I can see or experience from them that I possibly could bring back home and help the trauma that my family or my community has experienced. But I got to be open enough to be like, you know what? I might be wrong. Us sucking down that pig fat might not be the best thing for us.
Yeah.
But when I tell somebody I don't eat pork, what's wrong with you? You never had bacon? No, I didn't. Because my father saw, yo, we got hypertension, we got high blood pressure, we got diabetes. Let me think a little differently than what I was raised in and change our diet. And hopefully that changes generations, not just me. I'm going to teach this to my kids, and hopefully my kids teach this to theirs. So we start to even think about a Daniel's fast. I guarantee you my grandmother never thought about a Daniel's fast. It was, let me just make whatever's going to taste good, and these kids going to sit down. And look, you take a generation before, and I know I'm going long. You take a generation before, it was whatever I could get.
Yeah.
The master, the big house, they got the best parts of the meat. And I had to figure out, you look at some intestines, you never going to think that that's food, but we made it a meal. We made it a delicacy because we had to. All right, now let's think again. That's to me what this book embodied and what I was able to grasp and take from it.
So, wow, you said a lot.
I normally don't though. That's I felt it.
So what are some things since reading this book that has put you in a position where you had to kind of think again? Like, I know you were talking about things at work or just family, friends. Like, has there been other things where you position yourself where you're open to listening rather than before you kind of just stay on, you stand on what you stand on?
Yeah. Honestly, I don't think anything has shown itself since I read the book, but I do look back and I think like I probably was doing something without knowing the name of it. So without knowing things again. And one thing that I think of is like honestly, I'm on another podcast. And it was kind of birthed from my mind. And I do a lot of the legwork, a lot of the labor. So initially it was like, all right, nobody else knows this, so I'm gonna push this. I see it going this way, so I'm gonna push this. And things that were like, we started this 6 months ago. Things that are minor now to me, back then were a big deal.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, all right, holistically, is this really adding or deteriorating the value of this podcast? Not really. Yeah. How important is to do this at this time with this content? Not really. The biggest thing, and I started to remind myself, like, the reason you're doing this is just for the representation of black men sitting down and being able to speak and talk and open themselves up. And if I continue to be open to that, the whole point of us sitting down to do it is to gain perspective.
Yeah. So
I'm not as adamant and as rigid as I was 6 months ago, because I started to really think like, oh, you might be causing some unnecessary tension over some stuff that's really minor, especially in the space that y'all in.
Yeah.
So that's something that I've seen myself think again about in the recent.
Yeah.
What about you? In my description, I know you didn't make it all the way through, but in my description in your life, recent or long term, have you had any instances or experiences that you like, let me switch that up, or I could be open to switching it up?
Well, I've had a couple things that have transpired recently. Like I told you about just like the whole job thing.
Yeah.
And, I had in my mind that, I could do this all on my own. But recently I've kind of been trying to use the resources that I have. So at my current job, there used to be a black guy, and he was my mentor. He was like one of the executives there, and he used to travel around the world and give speeches about, our industry. And he has like the highest IQ that I know in that particular space.
Yeah.
So I reached out to him the other day, and I was like, man, I'm trying to get to this space, and I need your help. I need some coaching, X, Y, and Z. And I kind of normally would just try to keep these things to myself. But I reached out to him because it's like I need some type of guidance. So, we figured out a way to where I could get some coaching, and he could help me build certain things, or he could help me, get a certain job, and he could also coach me more about the industry, because I also have a business that is I work in the recruiting industry, that is recruiting based. So what we agreed upon is he's going to coach me while I train him physically, so that's
The barter
normally,
system, man.
yeah, that's normally something that I don't do. I kind of keep a lot of things to myself, and I'm, a bit bullheaded, and I just try to figure it out and do it on my own and don't ask for help, but, it just kind of dawned on me that I kind of need someone who has a little bit more experience, who can help me, and also, get me to, he could impart his wisdom on me. But other than that, I guess I'm trying to think, what are some other things that I've kind of just been rethinking. I've really just been in a space where I've been trying to I've just been trying to take some accountability for some of the things that I'm doing in my life too. It's just like like again, beginning of the year. Maybe this might be a conversation at the end of the year or something like that. But it's a lot of stuff that's transpired that I don't know. Right now, I'm not too comfortable kind of talking about, because it might make me look a certain type of way, But you know, it's just we'll talk about that at the end of the year. But yeah, I've been looking at the different things that's been going on this year, and I've been just trying to say, man, this is your fault. This is not fault, but you need to take some responsibility if
That's
you want to
big.
go ahead and change these things. You can't. And even though you may not be wrong, or these may be situations that you don't have a solution for, you always need to be looking at yourself and see what can you do differently.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the position that I've been in recently. I've been having to look at, just a lot of things that transpire. Like, you need to do, you kind of, need to switch some things up.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I think at some point, we all have to realize that we have so much more control of our world than we think we do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, as small as I said we are, like, you still live, the world that you know and experience is big as you think it is,
Mm-hmm.
because you're looking from the inside out. But you put yourself in certain positions, you react to things certain ways, you go out and gain certain knowledge, you start developing your business, you
Mm-hmm.
you have the effect on the world. You have a major effect on your world, and I think sometimes people forget that and allow the world to just work on them when they really have so much power to work on their world.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that, like, they tell you that life is working for you, not against you, or something like that. You're working for you too,
Yeah.
and that comes to light in, like I said, your reactions. It comes in the things that you try to put yourself in to learn. It comes into play in the people you hang around. Like, we have so much more power than we think we do. It's not just, I mean, it's a lot of things in this world we can't control, but a lot of things in this world we do have control of in our lives. And once we take that power, I feel like we have even more control on where we end up later on.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. We do have a lot more power than we give ourselves credit to, but we get caught up in our incorrect beliefs that we have about it. Whether it be, you might have doubt in what you can do, because
Yeah.
maybe you've seen, a couple failures. So it's like, man, I don't even think I can even do this. Or I just kind of give in to whatever the emotion is. Or, you're surrounded by the wrong people. but positivity is a it's a practice, it's a discipline.
Definitely.
You know, it's not something you just walk into. It's something that you are constantly watching what's being entered into your mind, you know.
You apply your own filter.
Yeah. And that can be difficult. I'm not saying it's difficult, but it's just a practice. It's something that you have to just train your mind to do. And you also have to learn how to when you're going into like a negative space, okay, what can I do to combat that?
Yeah.
You know, maybe I need to, maybe I need to take a break. Maybe I need to go and talk to somebody who can, impart some wisdom on me. Maybe I need to do a little bit of self-reflection or what have you. But learning how to, being in a positive mind, staying positive, like people that are positive, that I believe are authentically positive. It's a working process. It's effort.
Yeah.
They are
It's
doing
intentional.
specific. Yeah, it's very intentional.
Let me tell you an instance that pops up to me in my life consistently. Like,
yeah,
I've drive on the highway in Atlanta, and it's crazy out there. And I watch how people react to being cut off, or somebody doing something crazy, and then they get mad. To me, I've grown to a space where I just if somebody cuts me off and I stop in time, my mindset is, bro, you could drive. Like, it's like a positive reinforcement. Like, I got control of this car. I got control of my life. I was able to avoid this, honestly, for both of us. When I've watched so many people throughout my life, he cut me off. Now I'm mad.
yeah,
But people carry that negative energy with them beyond that moment of being cut off.
yeah,
But if you're able to, not saying you have to do it like I do it, be able to switch. Yeah, I showed my shit. I did my shit on that one. I was able to see this coming and this happening before it even became an accident.
yeah.
And if we try to take that mindset into things that happen at work, boss came in here fussing and yelling at me, and I'm like, all right, I could get in my feelings and fire back.
Yeah.
Or I could be like, what did I or didn't I do that caused this inflammation in him? And what do I need to work on to be better?
Yeah.
Forget all the hoopla, the show. What's really what I need to take away from this conversation? And something that got me even going down this road, because I'm not perfect at it. I still got emotions tied to a lot of things. But I read this book and watched this movie called The Secret when I was 18. And that's really what gave me, they talk about stubbing your toe in the morning and then you spiraling the rest of the day. Or stubbing your toe and taking a moment to say, I'm still going to have a damn good day. That one moment of positivity or that one moment of conscious thought and intent can flip your entire day, can flip your relationship with the people that you interact with that day. So I think that's something that we as a society and especially and individuals need to start to work on, just so we can continue to build it instead of taking your negative feeling and imparting it on the world that you come in contact with.
Yeah. But I think the first thing is being able to just acknowledge that's going on.
Yeah.
You acknowledge that you have a choice. I don't think a lot of people even acknowledge that they have a choice.
That's the word right there. Yeah.
They have a choice in these challenging moments. You just said something as simple as stubbing your toe. That could be the start of a bad day for some people.
Yeah.
And some people could just kind of just let that go and then continue and, be positive and it don't affect them. But yeah, that like it's so easy to get caught up in just negativity because it's normally justified. You it's the rationalization that keeps the flame going.
Right.
And you may be right. That's the thing about it too. And I'm not even talking about stubbing your toe. I'm just talking about in relations with other people.
Yeah.
You may be right, but the mere fact that your thinking, your thoughts and your beliefs about this is continuing to stoke the fire. So you're carrying the energy outside of this moment to the next moment. And the energy is what that's where the thoughts come from. That's where the negative thoughts come from. So that same energy, but you carried it all the way into, carried it to work, or you carried it to a friendship. Like it's in your perception and how you view things.
Yeah.
You're looking for, you start to look for the negativity. So I've noticed that within myself. And, it's one of those things where you have to kind of like stop and, one thing that I've heard is watch your breathing.
Yeah.
Like if you want to know what state of consciousness that you're in, if you're looking at your breathing, you're really holding your breath when you're having really shallow breathing.
Short breath, yeah.
Yeah, that's when you're kind of in an emotional state.
Yeah.
Some people say that that's a programming state. Emotions program you, because what I mean by program you is like if you have a negative experience with somebody and you walk away from that, the next time you see them, you are thinking about that. The energy may not still be there, but the reasoning and the logic is probably still there. So you continue to keep carrying that. So you have to be able to stop yourself in the moment and try to just calm down. And like you said, be able to point and say, what can I learn from this? Because at the end of the day, it's it's the thoughts and the beliefs that keep these negative ideas going. So if you are now changing it to, okay, what can I get from this? Maybe this is just a moment where I'm just being challenged to just, have some patience.
Yeah.
Maybe that's something that, or maybe it's like, maybe this person has something to share with me.
Yeah.
And I just need to be quiet. I might not like the tone. I might not like the delivery. I might not necessarily like the person, but maybe they are sharing something that I need to hear. So I need to humble myself so I can hear it, and
that's wild you say that, because as a freshman in college, I was a walk-on and trying to be a receiver, and my receiver coach, I felt like he hated me. I felt like everything I did, he had something to say. Something that I felt like was negative. And his tone, he would challenge you. And I got to a point, and I had to reach out to him later on. I was like, you gave me so much value. Like until probably like my third or fourth, until I got to Detroit, my 4 different receiver coaches in college, the 2 I had in high school, he was the best coach I had because of the content that he was trying to give me. Mm-hmm. But I was so caught up in my emotions of like, he's talking down on me. He's being negative. He don't like me. Like, who cares if he don't like you? Am I able to be aware and be like, you know what? Maybe I do need to go to the gym and lift a little bit more because I'm getting pushed off my route. Mm-hmm. Maybe I do need to be more precise in my foot placement, my hand placement, my eyes. Like these little things that he's trying to tell me. Maybe I do need to watch some more film. But just because he's like, you don't do this, you don't do that.
Yeah.
I was like, well, you don't do this and you don't do that. Instead of like, you know what? I don't. Maybe I should. Maybe I could be a little bit better. And I didn't realize until years later, like, yeah, he was really trying to help me. And they tell you in sports, like, when coach stops talking to you, that's when you got an issue. Mm-hmm. You want him talking to you. You want him coaching you. Coach me, coach. It may not be as pretty as they show you in the movies with the perfect coach situation when he steps into your life and changes. It might not look like that.
His father figure.
Yeah, like it ain't gotta look like that. But the value that he brings, are you conscious enough to be able to hear that instead of letting your emotions stoke the fire?
Yeah.
And now y'all battling and you're killing opportunities for your continued growth.
Yeah.
Because when I started fighting him, he was like, "Oh well, you too then." Yeah. Like, and now we in this tension mode instead of this growth and coaching mode.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And one of the things that reminded me of, we have an idea of how people are supposed to be and how they're supposed to respond to me. A good coach is X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
That's a belief.
Yeah.
That could be a fallacy, because I'm now putting, my ideas of what this looks like, and if you don't fit into this mold, now I'm rejecting it.
Yeah.
Now I am looking at you from a place of challenge. Like,
Right.
this is difficult now
Right.
because you don't fit this mold that I think that's what this is
Supposed to
supposed
look
to
like.
look like.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just like being at peace. I think being at peace is allowing the world to communicate to you how it's supposed to communicate to you, and you're able to receive that message in the right way to continue to go forward.
Yeah.
And I think that is a big lesson that everyone is supposed to learn in this life. It's like, how do I just receive the message the way it's supposed to be? I'm not trying to make you to be this type of person, the way that I like, but I just want to be able to get that wisdom.
Right.
Because I was listening to something today where they was talking about, like, adversity is wisdom. That's what it is. It's
the opportunity for wisdom.
Yeah, and that depends on how you're looking at the situation, but that is your opportunity to receive wisdom.
Yeah.
And it may take you a while to kind of get it because sometimes the message isn't as clear cut, but the more that I'm able to kind of look at it objectively, the more I can kind of see that, oh, I do need to go in, like you said with your coach, I need to go and get in a weight room a little bit more. He's right. I do need to. I mean, I can tell based upon, how the DBs are pushing me around.
Right.
Or I do need to let me try what he said first. Yeah. I might not like how he said, but, let me try what he said first, so you can see it objectively.
Right.
And then you can really take heed. But when we have all these false beliefs on how we think the word is, that's how we miss our blessings. That's how we miss our opportunities for growth.
Yeah.
So, and it's a daily practice because it's so easy to follow how you feel.
Yeah.
I forget who said it, but it's like, it's so easy to just go and start criticizing or saying what you don't and what you do like. That's easy.
Yeah.
But it takes an intelligent mind to be able to see value in all things.
I just wrote on my board, and every day I get in work, I write some message, some mantra on the board. And yesterday's message was, speak about your blessings way more than you speak about your what's the last word? Than your struggles or something like that. I know my focus was, let me speak about my blessings.
Yeah.
Let me talk about my blessings, because that changes my mindset and how like amazing this life has been for me. Even though I can complain all day.
Yeah.
I can, and honestly, in football, that's why I said I finally got out the locker room. Man, we used to complain all day long. Even though we get out there and do the work, it was just a bitch fest. And we used to do it all the time. But if you start to realize how much of a blessing, like, I wasn't supposed to play a down in college football. I wasn't supposed to, if you look at what I was in high school.
Yeah.
But that's a blessing that I was even in the room.
Yeah.
And I need to take that, and I think that's actually subconsciously I was able to grasp onto that, which helped me kind of continue down my trail. But look, the spaces I'm in at work, it's a blessing that I'm in this space, because you look at my track record, I shouldn't be here.
Yeah.
But I'm here, and that's a blessing. It may not look the best. And something else that I wanted to add to, like, your interpretation of what's happening in your world, still stand and defend who you are, but learn how it can look. Cause my coach came to me in college, and he was what I considered berating me, and I responded with my emotions. Well, I had a manager recently, and I think that's probably why I brought that example up. He didn't necessarily come berate me, but the way he was talking to me, it didn't sit well. I felt like he was really deteriorating this relationship. So we had a one-on-one conversation, and I feel like that's why you gotta always try to communicate with the love. I had to tell him, like, I want to do everything you asking me to do. This job, beyond this job, we try to practice this thing called extreme ownership. Beyond my job, I want to do that. But what you're doing right now and the way you're talking to me is deteriorating this relationship. And it's going to be real cut and dry between us, and it's not going to be a whole lot of bonding just because the way that I'm receiving you is not sitting well. And in that conversation, the next day he changed because he wasn't even aware that he was approaching me that way. But I would tell people, yeah, stand on who you are and what you believe, but be respectful and come from the love, because then people can start to really understand, like, oh, I could have came in that meeting like, man, F you for talking to me like this, and you always do this and you this and that. But I think he was able to feel and understand, like, yo, I'm here. I want to be. Mm-hmm. I want to be part of this team, but the way and it was really just the way he was talking. The way you're talking to me, it's not allowing, it's giving me some type of disgruntlement. Mm-hmm. And he was like, I don't want that. I don't want to do that. And now I feel like we have an amazing relationship. He's truly a mentor to me. But from that one conversation, changed the trajectory of where we are going to go.
Wow, that makes me think of a situation. I'll say what you did was more, I guess, conflict resolution. Yeah. You know, you saw this situation, somebody's responding to you a certain type of way. Some people are, you know, they'll just continue to allow this person to talk to them until it kind of builds up, and then
they
you react,
up.
or they'll just leave.
Yeah.
They'll do nothing and leave. And that's honestly an issue that I have, is sometimes addressing certain things like the elephant in the room. Mm-hmm. And I've noticed that, you know, in a couple situations where it's just like, I don't really know how to say it, because sometimes when I get in those positions, I might be emotionally overwhelmed, because it's like, you are forcing me to go and confront and possibly say something not negative, but I have to go and show you how I'm looking at you, and it may not be something that you want to hear.
Yeah.
You know, because how I've experienced that growing up. You know, I haven't gotten a lot of positive feedback to where it's like, okay, well, this is something that works. So a lot of times when I'm in situations where it's like, okay, you need to talk about it, I'm like, I don't know how this person's gonna respond to it. So I just kind of like let it go.
Let it lie.
You know, I just let it lie. But, you know, now I'm in a space where it's like, no, that's something that you need to think again. You need to be able to, I guess, calm yourself down and be able to say, okay, well, this is how I see the situation. And you said, come at it from a place of love, you know, which might be like, okay, you know, I want to continue this relationship,
right,
you know, but these are the things that we have to do. And when this happens, you know, I respond these types of ways, you know, because I'm thinking X, Y, and Z, you know, but I think the issue that I have is sometimes I place other people's feelings and their responses before mine.
Yeah.
You know, so it's kind of like maybe a people pleaser type of thing, where it's like, you know, I don't want to affect them negatively. I don't want to be the bad guy, you know, or maybe it's not even about them. Maybe I don't feel comfortable being in that position. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't feel comfortable being in that position. So I kind of let things slide, and, you know, until eventually I just move away.
Yeah.
You know, versus just kind of like talking about it. But I was into another podcast where he was like, that's a part of like, you know, being masculine, a man, is conflict resolution.
Yeah.
You know, learning how to, you know, resolve certain issues. So yeah, that is something that you know, that I've acknowledged as an issue, and I want to work on.
I got the same issue, honestly. Mm-hmm. I have been averse to conflict quite a bit most of my life, but with anything else, especially when I got the awareness that I was running from conflict constantly, I found out ways that I could work on that, and then I had to get to a space where I would actually work on it, because I started to know what I should do, and now it's like it took some time. Now I got to actually do it.
Yeah, what is it? Information over taking action.
Yeah,
you know, so.
And what I realized is, like, I still have the same anxiety. Yeah. I still got the same fear. But just like anything you do in life, the more you do it, the better you get at it. Yeah. So, yeah, the first couple times that I started, and look, this marriage thing will put everything on the forefront. But the first couple times I just dove into conflict, like just, hey, we just gonna have it. I probably didn't do it the best, but being aware of myself in the moment, or trying to be aware of myself in the moment, but then also having the reflection on the other side, I felt like the next time I got better. And the next time, and I got better. And it's like small getting better. Not like, no, I know how to do this thing now. It's just the little time, all right, I probably could have said this better. Or I probably could have taken a second and caught my composure in this second. So the next time, I'm going to make sure I do that. I don't know what's going to come out, but at least I took the second to gain my composure, to not let my emotions to drive my reaction. Because I'm working on doing more responding instead of reacting. So there's thought behind it and intent behind it.
Yeah.
So I guess that's a big one for me, is like being okay with conflict.
Yeah. So I have this thing. So when I was in college, a friend of mine, we were in the JTS building. So I went to Grambling State University, and JTS is like our business / computer lab.
Yeah.
So we were leaving the class, and it was like late at night. I don't know why we were there. I don't know why we were there, but we were leaving the building, and at the bottom of the stairs was like this roach on the ground. So a friend of mine, I bet I was like, because he used to do weird stuff sometimes, so I was like, I bet you won't pick that up. So he went over there. And he grabbed this roach. It was a big cockroach.
Yeah.
And he picked it up in his hand, and he was laughing and giggling, and he threw it. And then for whatever reason, that kind of impressed me, on some level. So
who's the weird one now?
So like every time, like I might see like a roach or something
a water
like that,
bug or something,
I pick it up to see if I could do it. Yeah, because it's one of those things where it's just like, you don't want to do it, but it's just like, let me see if I can do it, because it's, it's considered to be gross. They look nasty.
Yeah.
So I did it. So I've practiced doing that for like at least 10 years now.
Really?
Yeah. This is talent that I have.
Oh, I need to call you, because when I see them, they gone, man.
So, yeah. So, I have been doing that, for
That's
quite
really
some years.
thinking again, man.
And it's kind of given me a mental trophy to where it's like, okay, well, if you can do this, or if you can have compassion for, roaches or whatever, because normally if I see them, take them outside, and throw them outside. That's what I normally do.
Yeah.
So if you can have compassion for this, then you can do that. You can do these things.
You can transfer.
Yeah. Because essentially what it is, if we just strip it down to its basics, something that created anxiety or fear, and you were able to change that emotion to where you're now at peace. You don't look at the same way.
Ooh.
So now it's like, okay, now I have this thing that I was able to do that.
Yeah.
So now I use that as an example sometimes, like, okay, well, if you can do this, then you can do that. You've witnessed the change of the energy within,
right.
So you know that you can do this. So, that's just,
I'm not going to say I'm going to start picking roaches up, but I hear the point.
Yeah.
That hits. Because they tell you, the saying is, how you do some things is how you can do all things.
Yeah.
Like, to be able to really change, because the whole world tells you that a roach is disgusting.
Yeah.
It's nasty. You shouldn't be around. You shouldn't touch it. It shouldn't be in your space. But for you to switch the whole world talking in your ear to a different channel and saying, but this is something that I can show my compassion, that I can pick up, that I can touch, that I can be close to, and then give him back to the world in a space where he can live on and flourish.
Mm-hmm.
That's major. Because if you can do that for this tiny thing, insignificant thing
that looks gross, that everybody, when they look at it, they want to kill it.
Yeah. You can show that same thing to a person that the world cares about.
Yeah.
A situation that you care about.
Yeah, and it didn't start off as compassion. It started off like, dang, he could do that. I can do it too. So it kind of started off like a challenge.
Move at the speed of instruction, man. You felt it.
It kind of started off as a challenge, And it's with like there's been some big ones, and
Yeah.
they weird, like they be flying. Like I still, and to be honest, it's still a choice.
Yeah.
It's a choice because I still in the background I was like, I don't know if I want to touch it, but then it's like let me do it anyway,
Yeah.
you know. So yeah, so you mentioning that's something that I try to use sometimes if I remember. It's like, oh, if I can do that, then I can do this. And that's what life is. When you accomplish something, you have it now as, this trophy case that you have over here. You have it now as a trophy to where you can remember I did this at one particular time. So that skill, that ability is still in me. And the ability isn't about physicality and all this other stuff. The ability is the mental aspect
Right.
of it.
Yes.
Being able to, when it comes down to doing something that maybe create anxiety or fear, and you overcome that, it's like, okay, well, what is this when you're facing fear? It's like, what is this emotion anyway? Does it stop you? Do you start foaming at the mouth if you go against these internal commands that are going on? No. You don't die, you don't get weak.
Yeah.
All of those sensations is your mind playing tricks on you. The beliefs, the image that you have of these things.
Yeah.
But you can create new images for them. Like, I'm pretty sure if you wanted to, some people might look at roaches like butterflies. They might think it's the same thing.
Some people eat roaches.
Some people eat them, So it's just like we have control. The power that we have is how we look at certain things.
Right.
We have control over that. But to gain access of that control typically comes from your understanding and your self-reflection and you going through life.
Yeah.
Because more times than not, like another way of looking at it is we all want mercy in life.
Right.
Like everybody wants forgiveness. When we do wrong, we want forgiveness. We want mercy. We want people to look at us and see good. Well, then how can you have that same way of thinking on things that you might not necessarily understand? Look at that. That's how you kind of break the separation you have with people, is when you begin to look at them as you.
Yeah.
And I think when you begin to do that, that's when things start to kind of change.
Yeah.
Everybody wants some type of understanding. Nobody wants to be alienated. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants to be looked at as a villain.
Yeah.
Nobody describes themselves as that. Even though they might be doing some wrong things, they justify it.
Right.
So it's like, how can I take that same, I want that for myself, and how can I apply that to somebody else? And when you begin to consciously choose to look at somebody like that, you gain some understanding and compassion for them.
Man, that was it right there. I don't have anything else to say.
Yeah.
Like, that was the culmination of everything that we talked about, and it took us to roaches. but that was it, bro. I'm glad you had that moment, because I was in awe just listening and watching that, because that's really where we as people need to get to continue to create the connection and the bonds, and then that produces the growth in this world. So yeah, that's it, bro. I'm done. I'm good.
Yeah. Well, I guess before we close out, did you have anything else that you want to say about the the book, or maybe one major quote or one thing that kind of resonated with you after reading that book? Since I can't do it.
They got this this cycle that people go through, or should go through, when you're trying to get to a space of thinking again. And it's doubt, then it's curiosity, that leads to discovery, and then you got confident humility. And I told you that word really hit me throughout this book, is being humble, humility. But
confident humility. What does that mean?
I don't know that.
But I mean, just think about, like, let's try to like think about it. Confident humility. So is it like, when I think about humility, I'm thinking about somebody who doesn't think that they're above or better.
Right.
They see each other. They see each other as we're the same.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're confident, maybe because you feel capable or something. I don't know.
I don't know. I really don't. I do. And that's why I think on the first podcast I said I want to read things twice. I'm gonna go through this book again, and that's one thing I do want to understand a little bit more. But like we all have doubts about the world, doubts in ourselves, doubts in what you're talking about. But when you open your mind to being curious, to wanting to learn more, to wanting to know more, then you give yourself the opportunity for discovery. Because when you are searching, you're gonna find. You don't know what you're gonna find, but you're gonna find something. So find something more than you had when you started. And then once you kind of go through the process of discovery and gain further perspectives, other ways of looking at things, you find that humility. And the word that the way that they looked at it was confident humility.
Like you said a lot of stuff that just set off a lot of questions in my head, but it set off curiosity, and that's actually something I wanted to like talk about. Like, where do you think curiosity like comes from? Like, how can I put myself in a state of curiosity, or like how do I start that? Because you want to be curious, because I know what it feels like to be curious. It's like I'm just anxious to kind of just like learn, like, what does this really mean? Or, I'm seeking for some type of answer. So
I think it's a space of really like making yourself small and realizing that I don't know everything, and that's okay. And other people's experiences have value, and you start to put that in your head. You like, oh, this guy on the street is talking. What is he talking about?
that is true.
So when you can and it's one of them things you got to constantly tell yourself every day. But if you can get to that space, then you be like, I do want to see what he's talking about. Like, I feel like you do a good job. I'm gonna continue to bring up when we was hitting golf balls, and that dude came over and started talking.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I don't want to have no conversation with this guy, but you just jumped in and wanted to know more about his experience at the driving range and how long he's been there, and the people that he knew, the people you knew. And I'm like, all this is Zikomo's curiosity coming out. And then you found a connection. You found discovery. And bruh, he couldn't help you with your swing, but he told you somebody that we could. Mm-hmm. So just going down that path, going through that cycle, creates opportunity on the back end.
Yeah. I like what you said.
Thank you. I don't know what it is.
No, but it's just about you have accepted that everything can communicate value. You said curiosity starts from understanding that other people have value to give.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of times, and maybe it depends on what state emotionally I'm in, where you think that this person don't have any value to give you.
Yeah.
So it's like I need to be aware and think that there's something that could teach, and I think that's where humility comes from. Mm-hmm. It's like I can learn from any source. Like I think sometimes adults, as we get, because we have age on us, we believe that children can't teach you anything. I'm not learning.
That's a big one. Yeah.
Yeah. This child can't teach me. I've already experienced 7. Like, yeah. This person,
right. But not 7 in 2022.
But yeah, that's true. But at the same time, it's just there's all that person might not even teach you something new. Maybe they're reminding you of something. Yeah. But it's just always something that you can learn. And I guess I'll end on this. So one of the things that I did the past month is I went up to Harvard College. Mm-hmm. So I also shoot film, and I do videography work for an organization called the Harvard Debate Project. So it's this program where a guy named Brandon Fleming and a lady named Kelly Bridget, yeah, that's her name. I want to make sure I say her name. Kelly Bridget. They teach these kids the art form of debate so that they can, for a year, so they can go to Harvard and compete against other middle school and high school students from around the world. Mm-hmm. And for the past 4 years, they've won. So this year, they wanted me to go up to Harvard and kind of like do a mini documentary of the actual competition that takes place for 2 weeks. So I was out there for about 3 days. And one of the kids, he was in one of his workshops, and he was kind of like dozing asleep. So I'm recording, and after the kind of workshop was over, I walked over to him. I was like, "Hey, man," I was like, "You need to wake up." He was like, "Man, I already know this stuff." And I was like, "Even Denzel Washington still goes to acting classes." And he was like, "Really?" I was like, "Yeah, he still takes acting classes." And he was like, and then, he kind of thought about that. But the reason why I brought that up is because even Denzel Washington, like I said, he is still seeking to learn. When we look at him as this, what is he like? He's won a, what is it, Emmy? He's at the highest
The
level.
Oscar.
He's
Yeah.
won Oscars. He's done it all.
Yeah.
But he still puts himself in a position of a student
Yeah.
as he's trying to become the best that he can as an actor.
Yeah.
And I think that is something that we could all learn from just in life, is that, even if there's certain things that we've already learned before, it doesn't mean that we can't learn the lesson twice, 3 times, 5 times, or be reminded that many times.
Yeah.
So that, because, and then when you learn lessons, you learn something different each time. Like if you read a book, you might have saw something the first time and it hits different the next time.
Yeah.
So we always have an opportunity to learn from everything in life. We just got to open our minds to it and be curious.
That's the whole purpose of Think Again, man.
Yeah.
I think it was a good selection. It just may not have connected, and that's why I said from the beginning, I don't think it was written for me and where I come from. But when you're able to kind of when I was able to step past that feeling, I found the value, and it generated this conversation, which has been dope, bro. Like,
okay. Well, if you made it this far, thank you.
Appreciate you. Appreciate you.
But next month we're gonna do something a little bit different. Next month we're gonna be talking to Wallace about his book called Underrated. He's been doing some great things that I think everybody should hear about. And also I just want to delve into the book and kind of get what he was thinking as he created that. So next month it'll be a conversation. I don't want to say it's an interview. It's going to be a conversation about, his book Underrated. So stay tuned.
Appreciate y'all time, man. It's all love, man. Just 10 pages.
Just 10 pages. Talk to y'all later.
All right.